Title: River of Blood. In a land nestled between towering mountains and sweeping plains, two clans stood in perpetual conflict. The fierce warriors of the main clan ruled the northern lands, while the Duka clan, known for their cunning and mastery of the river, controlled the fertile southern territories. The source of their enmity was a long-standing dispute over the river that ran between their lands, a river that had nourished their people for generations but had now become a symbol of bloodshed. The Mbane were a proud people, tall and strong, their warriors unmatched in battle. They believed the river belonged to them, as it flowed from the sacred mountains in their territory. The Duka, on the other hand, argued that the river passed through their fertile lands and thus, they had the right to its waters. The river's path was winding, and each clan laid claim to different portions of it. This dispute, over time, had evolved into a deep hatred that poisoned the hearts of both tribes. Amidst this hostility, love blossomed in the most unexpected place. Lila, the daughter of the Duka chief, was renowned for her beauty and grace. She had long, flowing black hair, skin the color of rich earth, and eyes that sparkled like the stars reflected in the river at night. Though raised in a time of she was gentle, often visiting the riverbanks to gather herbs or simply to sit by the water, where she could hear its peaceful flow and momentarily forget the bloodshed. On the other side of the river, Kato, the son of the main chief, was equally renowned for his strength and valor in battle. His father had raised him to be a warrior, to despise the Duka, and to prepare to one day lead the Mbane to victory over their southern enemies. But unlike most warriors, Kato was not driven by hatred. He questioned the endless fighting and secretly yearned for peace, though he dared not speak of it to his father. One day, fate intervened. Lila had wandered farther from her village than usual, following the river's winding path as it meandered through the forest. Kato, tasked with patrolling the main side of the river, spotted her from afar. His heart skipped a beat. He had never seen anyone like her, a vision of serenity amidst the chaos of war. Cautiously, Kato approached the riverbank, where Lila sat. She noticed him too, but instead of running away in fear, she remained still, her eyes locked on his. There was something in his gaze, curiosity, perhaps even kindness, that made her feel safe, despite knowing he was an enemy. The river, long a boundary between their clans, now served as a bridge for their hearts. Forbidden meetings. From that day on, Kato and Lila met in secret by the river, far from the eyes of their warring clans. At first, their conversations were brief, filled with nervous glances toward the forest and plains. But over time, they grew bolder, speaking of their dreams and fears, their hopes for a future free from violence. They spoke of the river that connected their people and wondered if it could ever be a source of unity instead of division. Their love deepened with each meeting, but they knew the danger they faced. If anyone discovered their secret, it would mean certain death. Their clans would never allow such a union, not after years of war and bloodshed. Yet, they could not resist the pull of their hearts. For the first time, they saw a way out of the endless cycle of violence. They believed their love could bridge the divide between their people, just as the river flowed freely between their lands. They dreamed of a day when the river would run clear, untainted by the blood of warriors. The betrayal. But secrets are fragile things, and in a land torn by war, no secret can last forever. One fateful evening, a young Duka warrior named Mosi, who had long admired Lila, followed her as she slipped away from the village. Mosi's heart had always burned with jealousy whenever he saw her leave, knowing she was keeping something from him. When he saw her meeting Kato, his blood boiled. How could she betray her people by consorting with the enemy? Mosi returned to the Duka village and immediately informed the chief, Lila's father. Outraged, the chief called a council of elders and prepared. He vowed to make the Mbane pay for this insult with their. Meanwhile, Kato's father, the main chief, also learned of his son's forbidden love through a spy who had been tracking the movements of the Duka. The main chief, furious and humiliated, accused Kato of betraying their clan. He swore that the Duca would suffer for this transgression, and the river would run red with blood. The sun rose on a new day, both clans prepared for war. The drums of echoed across the land, and warriors from both sides gathered at the riverbank, armed and ready to fight. Lila and Cato, realizing what had happened, rushed to the river, hoping to stop the bloodshed, but it was too late. The first arrows flew through the air, followed by the clash of spears and shields. The once peaceful riverbanks became a field, soaked in the blood of warriors. Cato and Lila stood at the edge of the water, desperate to stop the carnage, but their voices were drowned out by the sounds of war. In a desperate attempt to bring peace, Cato threw down his spear and ran into the fray, calling for the fight to stop. Lila, too, cried out for her people to lay down their arms. But their pleas fell on deaf ears. In the chaos, Cato was struck by an arrow, falling to the ground. Lila rushed to his side, cradling him in her arms as the battle raged around them. With his dying breath, Cato whispered, "The river, it belongs to us all." Grief-stricken, Lila stood and walked into the river, carrying Cato's body. As the warriors of both clans watched, she waded into the deep water, her white dress stained with his blood. The sight of their leader's children lying lifeless in the river, united even in death, brought a sudden stillness to the battlefield. The chiefs of both clans, witnessing the tragedy, realized the futility of the war. Their children's love had been pure, untarnished by the hatred that had consumed them for generations. In that moment, they saw the truth: the river had never belonged to one clan or the other. It had always been a gift for both, a source of life and unity. A new beginning. In the days that followed, the Mbane and Duca clans came together in mourning. They buried Cato and Lila side by side on the banks of the river, a symbol of the peace their love had inspired. The chiefs swore an oath to end the fight and share the river's bounty, so that no more blood would be spilled. From that day on, the river became known as the River of Peace. Though its waters had once run red with the blood of warriors, it now flowed clear and pure, a reminder of the love that had united two clans and ended generations of conflict. The story of Cato and Lila lived on in the hearts of their people, passed down through generations as a tale of love, sacrifice, and the power of unity. The river, once a symbol of division, became a place where the two clans would gather to celebrate life, love, and the enduring bond between them. And so, the River of became the River of Peace, forever flowing as a testament to the love that changed the fate of two warring clans.